chemistry is about change. And so he takes a Bunsen burner and he lights the fire and he says, electrons battling out with protons. And he's got these three squirt bottles that are different colors. And so he um change and he talks about how they bond and change, and he uh uses like one squirt bottle is green and one squirt bottle is blue, and he sprays the green one and the flames turn into green flames, and then he sprays the blue one and um the Bunsen burner changes colors to blue flames, and he talks about change, and he's like, that's all of life. And you can see in his eyes how excited he's talking about it, and he's trying to get the class involved. And then he hears some giggling in the back of the room, and he calls these two um, students out who are a couple. There's, I think his name is Chad. Um, Chad to move, and and he's like, Chad, is there something wrong with your table? And then Chad takes his table and he screeches it across the room, and kind of in defiance, and he says, and he kind of looks at him like, okay, now what? Chad does to Mr. White, and he says, read chapter 6 on electric violence, and it's kind of that scene where he might as well have said, class dismissed. And then we can kind of tell that Walter White isn't, I think he's pretty much known um at the high school, but he's not a sociable teacher, social teacher, because he usually eats his lunch. We see him eat his lunch in the um, in his classroom alone, and that kind of indicates that this guy doesn't doesn't really, socialize with the other faculty members. I think he does later on in the show, but um, in some scenes. But as of this, he we don't really know. He doesn't really socialize with other teachers. So in the afternoon, that afternoon, Walt is working his second job at the car wash, and he's cleaning tires. And throughout this, we hear him cough a couple times to indicate that he's getting sick. And as he's wiping the washing the cars, he starts washing Chad's car. And as he's washing Chad's car, he's washing a car. It's Chad's car because the his student Chad and his girlfriend walk out and go, Mr. White, let's see those tires shine. And he takes out his phone, actually his camera. I don't know if it's camera phone or if it's phone, and takes a picture of him. And it's so embarrassing for Walter, for the teacher to see, or student to see. Well, it's not embarrassing as a student, but as a teacher to see a student clean his car. Um, and and then and the reason why Walter is washing his car is his boss, Mr. Bogdan, I think it's Bogdan. It tells him that one of his employees didn't come in, and he and Bogdan's gonna run register, and Walter says, "Wait a minute, we talked about this." I which I guess they probably previously in the pilot is he probably has just been told he's just kind of his job description is just the cashier register, and that's the reason why he's washing the cars for his students. So that's kind of the reason. And I like that scene because he that and him getting Chad is played by students basically ridiculing Evan Bradrock, who was in In Plain Sight. He says, let's get this tire, let's let these Chad's girlfriend is played by Roberta Marquez Select, who was in Terminator Salvations, 21 Guns, and recently was in News of the World, and also Longmire. Let these tires. But she's pretty much worked in the art department. He's being walked on by both his teacher, or as a teacher to students, and his boss. So then that day after work, he goes to his he drives back home, and as he's driving back home, he's he's driving, and he has the uh, uh, handicap thing on his car, and he on his rear view mirror